Okay, the last session we want to talk about is on conflict, because every marriage will have conflict. In fact, there's an equation I use in premarital counseling. It is conflict plus resolution equals intimacy. So the constant in that equation is conflict. Like, you will have conflict. You take two sinful people and cram them into a one flesh relationship, there's going to be bumps, right? So, but the cool thing is, if you learn to resolve those conflicts, on the other end of that conflict is intimacy. You get closer when you work through adversity and conflict together. And so what you want to do is really grab some tools that help you deal with conflict well. So just right out of the chute, there's a great book called Peacemaking for Families by Ken Sande. That's in your reference section. I even gave you a summary of the book, but I would highly recommend that book. So what would you say?
So one thing we've learned about conflict is just to really choose the right time and the right tone. So maybe if something is bugging me during the day that Doug did or something, then when he comes home, if he's exhausted and trashed and I'm kind of tired or worn out, maybe it's not the time. But we do decide, like, you know what, something was really bugging me. When can we talk about it? And then you choose the time so you're not ignoring it or just passing it under the rug or whatever. So, and also, if I'm going to bring something up, I just really have learned to try to make sure that I've got my part of the conflict resolved. So I know how I contributed to it. And then that my tone and my motive is to help Doug grow. So I'm not just ticked at him and mad and trying to vent about it, but I just really try to say, hey, this happened. This is how I felt. This might be an issue you want to work on. And maybe it's not. Maybe it was more me, and I need to see it from his perspective too. But just to check and pray about it before I just.
Before you what?
Okay.
So, and this is really important part of marriage, because there's an author that says God didn't give us marriage to make us happy, but to make us holy. And I've got someone who is committed to me in love to point out kind of the rough edges in my life. And if I'm treating Lori poorly, or my kids poorly, most likely that's also happening out there with people in my life. So what a gift it is to have someone close enough to me that sees the blind spots I have and loves me enough to point them out and help me grow through them. Everybody else out there sees them and they'll just talk about you behind your back, about you being a punk. But this is a real gift of marriage too, is learning to confront each other well and confront each other in love. So I think what Lori said is great too, to make sure it's in prayer, make sure that we've looked at our own issues first, but then in love, try to help the other person deal with whatever's going on. So.
Yeah. And I think as coaches, you guys are probably way more in the spotlight than you realize. And even if the spouses aren't completely involved, people are going to be curious about your family life. So as much as possible, keep your conflict really resolve the conflict so that God can use you in a lot of people's lives, because they're going to be watching you.
There's nothing wrong with getting help in your marriage too. Like, don't just try to figure it out on your own. Get some trusted people in your life. Get in a church, get in a good community group in that church. And there's no perfect marriage. So you're going to need some help. If there's any way we can help you, we would love to.